banjo, and Salisbury types of axles. Although all rear axles perform the same basic functions, the designs of the rear axles may vary. There are two basic rear axle carrier housing assembly designs that are used in Mahindras: banjo type and Salisbury type. The banjo type has a removable carrier that supports the drive pinion and ring gear, that is differential case assemblies. The banjo axle housing has integral axle tubes. The Salisbury type is the most commonly used rear axle carrier housing assembly. The carrier housing contains the rear axle components and has axle tubes welded to it. Salisbury axles are rigid in construction, less noisy, and difficult to repair or service, whereas banjo axles are less rigid, more noisy, and easy to repair or service. Some of the examples of banjo and Salisbury are Scorpio, TUV300, Xylo, Imperio, Jito, and Neosport. Bolero, Bolero Camper, Bolero Pickup, Thar Di, and Scorpio. Banjo axles are semi-float axles, whereas Salisbury axles are full float or semi-float. Semi-floating axle. In semi-floating axle, a single bearing supports the outer end of the shaft and is located just inside the housing ends. The weight of the vehicle is transmitted first to the suspension spring, then to the axle casing, then to the axle, and finally to the ground. The semi-floating axle is used in passenger vehicle and in light trucks. Full floating axle. In full floating axle, the drive wheel is carried on the outer end of the axle housing by a pair of tapered roller bearings. The bearings are located outside the axle housing. The weight of the vehicle and payload is supported by the spindle on the housing and not the axle shaft. The shaft is only subjected to twisting forces, that is torque, from the engine. The axle shaft is connected to the drive wheel through the bolted flange. This allows the axle shaft to be removed for servicing without removing the wheel. This type of axle is very strong and therefore it is used for heavy-duty vehicles. Let us see the difference between semi-floating and full-floating axle. Difference. The semi-floating axle has only one bearing on either side, while the full-floating axle has two bearings on either sides. Axle shaft carries weight and transmits torque in semi-floating axles, whereas in full-floating axle shaft transmits only the torque. In semi-floating axle, wheel hub is directly connected to axle shaft, whereas in full-floating axle, wheel hub is supported by bearings. Axle shaft cannot be removed without jacking up the vehicle or disturbing the wheel bearing setting in semi-floating axle, whereas in full-floating axle shaft can be removed easily without jacking up the vehicle and without disturbing the wheel bearing setting. Semi-floating axles usually being smaller and less expensive, whereas full-floating axles are expensive. The overall assembly of semi-floating axle is simple in construction, whereas full floating axles are complex in construction. In short,